Now that we have a nice little armchair, let's make a footstool to go with that. For this, you're going to need a handful of square toothpicks, a few of the smallest toothpicks you can find, or try to sand them down to the size of these bamboo picks, which I can put another link for these. I get them on Temu. They're very inexpensive. Some balsa wood, or you can use mat. And that is just for the part that you put your feet on, and you're going to cover that with your favorite fabric. Cutting tools and paint. Remember, I have continued to use Burnt Sienna for this series. Marking tools and so forth. Here are your cuts. So you want, in the square toothpicks, you want 2 that are mitered at 1.6, 2 that are mitered at 2 centimeters. And remember, the mitering is where you use one of these, or you can be very patient and use your your utility knife or what have you. But you're going to want to push this all the way to the side, and then when you cut it, your outside measurement is where the point will be. So in other words, the pointy part here from point to point is your 2 centimeters. Okay, then you're going to need some legs. So some more square toothpicks, and so 4 of them at 1.2. Then you've got the little things that keep them apart, and those are 2 of those at 1.5. Oh, and I just forgot something. Here we go. You need actually 6. Okay, this is 6 at 1.2, because these actually go with this, and they are what holds the bottom together. You know, you kind of have those pieces that go from one leg to the other, and it makes it all nice and steady and strong. So I misspoke on that. So you need 6 of these at 1.2. Then the smallest ones that you have, these guys are the little decorative styles that go on, and you have 6 of those at 0.8 centimeters. Okay, then your mat or your cardboard or your balsa wood, in my case, this needs to be cut at 1.6 by 2. So you can kind of see that this mitered part is what you will place this on and so forth. So you can probably start to visualize how this is going to go. Okay, so make your cuts, do a little sanding, and then we'll start to glue. What I did to save a little bit of time is I went ahead and glued together my mitered pieces. So you glue those together, and if they're not perfect, like mine's not perfect, it shouldn't show that much. But one way to kind of fix that is you can put extra glue in the corners. I don't anticipate it'll show that much. It didn't when I did my prototype. But I can always put a little extra glue and then sand when these are a little bit drier. So anyway, that is set for us to do our feet. But I wouldn't do all of the legs, rather. I wouldn't do all of them and then let it dry and then put on these struts or whatever they might be called that are used to keep this steady. Let me see something here. Hopefully my head's not in the way. What I'm trying to do is get this to the edge and nice and straight. Skeptical. Very skeptical person. Skeptical that that's where it needs to be, but I can always adjust it. So at any rate, I would do and it doesn't matter if I do these 2. I just glued the wrong one. It doesn't matter if I do these 2. These are 1.1, by the way. These are the 1.1 pieces. And then what can happen is, see, these are actually those strut things. I'm just trying to show you. Is I can wait for 2 of them to dry, or almost dry, because I'm going to put this just up from the bottom. Okay, so I'm not putting this right at the bottom. I'm putting it up from the bottom. And I've found that if I kind of do 2 at a time and not try to do 4, it's a lot easier to get these to go in there and everything. So you can wait for it to dry a little more than I am, but I just kind of want to show you what I mean, if I can show you what I mean. These may not be anywhere near dry enough to... The way you tell if your struts or whatever are far enough up when you go to glue them is to take your little style and see how it's going to fit in there. Is it going to glue in there perfectly, or does it need to be a little adjusted? So make sure you do that at some point in time before it's not completely glued. So this is together. Hopefully you went ahead and these little, I don't know really what to call them. I keep calling them stiles. I guess that's what that is. They go closer together than to the side. They're not equal distance apart. Okay, so you, if you made the armchair, then you know what I'm talking about, and you're fine. You just always put one in the middle and then put the other 2 closer to it than the sides. So I actually got glue pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to have to sand a lot before I paint. But you can paint this. You really don't have to be real careful about the top of it, because we're going to put the little cushion type of thing on the top. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the upholstering, because I've got to do a lot of sanding, and I'll do that later. So this is the easy kind of upholstery. You're just going to go ahead, and mine is really stiff, as you know if you did the other thing. And I'm just going to cut with a little bit of a seam allowance here. Of course, I've put there. Yeah, here we go. A little bit of seam allowance here for you, about like so. It's good. It's good. Then it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know. I tried it both ways. I don't know if it matters if it's on the long way that you glue first and then bring these in. It's going to show somewhat, so do it as neat as possible. But I didn't really find that it matters if I glue these long pieces and then do the short. That's what I'm going to do this time. Alrighty, so these sides are pretty dry, and all I want to do is just remind you, you want to take out as much bulk as you can with the fabric, and it'll just make it easier when we go to glue this to the top, that you have that as flat as possible. So that's just a little tip again. After you've finished this, of course, all you have left to do is to go ahead and glue this on top. Now you will notice, because of the fabric that we used and everything, that you're really going to have to put some pressure down on this, like holding that top, that mitered piece, so that it'll glue well. The clips might work well on this, but at any rate, what you have is your little footstool when you're ready to go after that dries. So you have a couch, maybe, you've got an armchair, you've got a footstool. We are by no means finished. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe.